Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another knife review for you. Today, we have a Kershaw knockout. They've been out forever, Brian. Why are you reviewing another knockout? Because this is not your normal Kershaw knockout. This is the USA-made Blades exclusive Kershaw knockout, and it is pretty darn special. What makes it special? Well, first of all, you can see by looking at it, it's got blue handles, which is pretty rare, and it's a really nice blue, too. It's not like a bright, glowing blue, not quite a navy blue. It's sort of like a medium royal blue. They are very, very pretty. And one thing I never liked about the knockout aesthetically was they had these big swoopy mills in it that I was going to try and show you in an iPad photo, but it doesn't really work. It's too reflective. You can't really see it. I'll do some of that in the future. But they've changed just these three little strakes here and here. They look great. Still in the right place to provide some traction, but they're not as swoopy as the regular knockout. But the most important difference between this and your standard USA-made knockout in 14C28N is this is Bowler M390. The mother of all steels, arguably so. And the price. This version in this stonewash, $99.95, under $100 for M390. You can also get a blackwash version for $104.95. The only other M390 value I can think of that's as good is the Kershaw Dividend in M390 or the Kershaw Link in M390 that are both about $80. These come and go. Right now you can't get a Dividend. There are still a few places you can get a Link in M390, but they do these black handles in the M390. They've never done the knockout in the M390. I'm not sure why. I wonder if maybe it's because the standard knockout already has black handles. I don't think that would be why, but just theorizing. But Kershaw themselves have never done the knockout in M390, so God bless the USA-made blades for getting this made, because it is awesome to be able to get what a lot of people call the best Kershaw and now the best steel. I know Birdshot IV calls it the best Kershaw, and they know a lot about knives and a lot about Kershaws. I'm not going to argue with them, especially after handling this. I really can't argue with them. It is pretty freaking great. It is my first knockout. I've always meant to get one, and then I didn't. And by the time I got into the knife hobby, knockouts were kind of old news, and I just hadn't. But everybody raves about them, and it's one of those knives I thought I should probably have one. And then I'd kind of forgotten about it, and then I saw on Knife Crazy, which I'll link to his video down below too, he did a quick little kind of introduction to it. His son got one of these, and I discovered it and jumped right to the site, and it was the first site you could get them past pre-order, and I jumped on it. They're only making 300 of each, so I am kind of rushing this review. I've only had this knife about 24 hours, but I'm doing it because you can still get them. So if you want one, jump on it, go get it. There's only 300 of each, 300 in the stonewash, 300 in the blackwash, especially if you have a preference for one or the other. I kind of have an inkling that probably the blackwash is going to sell out first, but I like the stonewash better. But anywho, get over there. If you want one, grab it. $99.95 or $104.95, both great prices for M390 and a really good USA-made knife. Okay, review over. No, I'm just kidding. I'm definitely going to do some more on this because, as I said, this is my first knockout. So let's do some little stats for you here. We have an overall length of 7.9 inches. You have a blade length of 3.2 inches according to my measurements. You have a blade thickness of 0.12 inches, so not terribly thick at all. Handle thickness of 0.4 inches, and a weight of just 3.9 ounces, so not bad at all for a knife this size with speed safe and all that stuff in it. Fairly lightweight, not a true lightweight, but pretty lightweight. They claim 3.8. I measured at 3.9. It's 0.1 ounce, and nobody's going to notice that. If you have hands calibrated well enough to notice 0.1 ounce, then good on you. You should work for freaking NASA or something. I don't know. Now let's do some size comparisons. I already showed it against the Dividend. That's one of our standards. First up, I'm going to show you, this is a knife that it actually reminds me of a lot in the hand. Just in the hand, it really reminds me of the Cold Steel American Lawman. It's got that same kind of thin but very comfortable handle feel, and it just reminds me of it a lot. And they're both really good working kind of EDC designs, and very similar in size, as you can see. We will do some of our standards next. We will do, no, actually we won't. First of all, we'll do, a lot of people call this a budget ZT. Like, a lot of people are surprised it wasn't a ZT. So we'll compare it to a ZT, since I have one here that's similar in size, the 0095. If I line up the pivots, you can see it's only just a tick bit shorter in the blade than an 0095. This is another exclusive one, but they've sold a ton of the 0095, so hopefully you guys will be familiar with that sizing. Next up, one of the standards, the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. Very similar in size to that. As you can see, again, just a good EDC kind of size. And lastly, but not leastly, your Benchmade 940. Again, very similar in size and length. Obviously, this is a much taller knife, but pretty similar in length. Now, let's get into this thing a little bit deeper now that we've got some other ones out of the way. I really like this blade, not only because it's awesome M390, but it's also a pretty good slicer, especially for how thick it is behind the edge. I mean, I know 24 thousandths behind the edge is what I measured it at. Isn't what we would have considered thick, you know, got a year and a half ago, but now a lot of good EDC knives are getting way down below 20 thousandths and stuff, which makes them very slicey and nice. This is a bit thicker behind the edge, but it's only 0.12 inch blade stock, and the flat grind is very high. So it still cuts very well. It's a very good slicer. I went out as soon as I literally got this out of the box, walked out to my garage and started hacking cardboard for this review, because again, I wanted to get it done quickly. I knew it was coming, and I kind of planned out an hour or so of my day to just go hack at stuff. And it performed very, very well. I do have to say, it performed really well. I do love the blade shape too. It's got a good amount of belly, if you're really a big fan of having a lot of belly on your knives, but it also does have a little bit of flat if you really want to have a knife shape with a little bit of flat. And I usually do, honestly. I like having just a little bit of flat. And it's a really awesome EDC blade shape. It is very tall. I mean, the blade height on this thing is, what are we looking at? These are 1/2 inch squares, so you're looking at, yeah, almost 1.5 inches. Yeah, it's a 1 2/5, something like that. Is that almost 1.5? I'm not good with fractions, but very tall blade. But it works really well, I do have to say, with that, just having that high flat grind with the pretty thin blade stock. It's a very good cutter. If I have one complaint about the blade, this comes in 3 different versions, and I probably should have said this up front, but you have the 6995 14C28N black handle version, 7495. You've got the black wash olive green handle version, but they also make a Damascus olive green handle version for $119.95. So, like I said, this is not even the most expensive knockout you can get, and it's got M390, but I'm digressing. But what I like about the Damascus version is there are no thumb studs, and I kind of wish this didn't have the thumb studs. They only got in the way once or twice, but they do get in the way just a little bit. They are kind of in the cutting path, and with that nice flipper action, which we'll get to in a minute, you don't need them. So I do kind of wish that it didn't have, the USA made blades would have opted to delete the thumb studs, but that's a minor little quibble. Like I said, it only got in the way once or twice momentarily, but it is noticeable. It is there. All right, let's talk about the ergonomics on this thing. They're really good. As I said, it's a very thin handle, 0.4 inches, but it's a very tall handle. And with my large size hands with super skinny fingers, I don't wrap fully around it, so I do really like that. That's really nice. No hot spots whatsoever, and it's very comfortable. It is not the most grippy handle material in the world. It is just anodized aluminum, but you can use these little strakes up here. You can use them. You can get a hold of it and grip on stuff. Those are really very well placed and very well designed. I do have to say, I do really like that. And all these little finger choils fit my fingers just fine. You don't have to worry about slipping forward because you got the flipper tab there to stop you. And yeah, this little bit is pretty cool. I do like that. I do wish maybe there was a little bit of jimping on top here, but whatever. The only other ergonomic quibble I have is you can definitely reach your thumb forward to do some more fine work and stuff like that, scraping and things like that. But when you do, you're on a very thin part of the blade. I do wish that this thicker part went just a little bit farther forward. That would be nice. But other than that, very good ergonomically. No big super complaints. It's just that little, this is just a bit sharp. Other than that, it's pretty good. Again, I love this part. It's really well placed, especially if you are a righty. Now in carry, it carries pretty darn good. It does come standard with a deep carry pocket clip, which is great. These screws do stick out quite a bit though, so if you want to get it all the way down in the pocket, you do got to wiggle it a little bit. But once you do, all that's sticking up is just that much of the knife. And this isn't a bright screaming blue, like I said. It's not going to stick out a whole lot. If you're watching this video and these aren't available anymore and you just want to know about other knockouts, the other knockouts are much more subdued colors, so you're even going to notice it even less. It is tall. I will say that it is. Oh, at its tallest point, you're looking at a little over 1.5 inches. But the way it angles, it's not bad in the pocket at all. I was really surprised. Again, it's a very thin handle. I could absolutely get my hand past it to get to anything in the bottom of my pocket without much problem at all. It's definitely easier than another tall knife that comes to mind, like a Manix 2. It's easier to get my hand past than it is on my any of my Manix 2s. And nothing sharp to hit or anything like that. It works great. Now here's going to be the slightly controversial part about this, but I'm sure you know this by now. It's a Kershaw. It's got the backwards American flag on it, meaning that it was made in the U.S. And yes, I do know with the backwards American flag why they do that. But it's speed safe. It is an assisted knife. So does it work well? Abso-freaking-lutely. Bang. It rockets out. It is definitely more of a bang than the Dividend is. You kind of expect that though, I guess, because the Dividend is a much smaller, lighter knife. I used to own a Link. It's definitely more than my Link was. But you can still one-hand close it without too much effort. Again, it's a bit more spring tension than the Link or the Dividend was, but you can still one-hand close it easy. Do I like assist? I don't prefer it. I don't loathe it as much as some others do, but I definitely don't prefer it. Do I wish this was a nice, smooth ball-bearing thing? Yeah, of course I do. That's why I'm excited about the Natrix and the D2 with the copper, because it does not have speed assist. The bare knuckle does not have speed assist and still has this same, sub-frame lock design. So I am more excited about those because they are not speed assist, but that doesn't kill the knife for me. As far as assists go, I don't think the speed safe is that bad, guys. I know I definitely like it better than I used to have a Benchmade mini barrage. I like it better than that. I've had other assist knives that escape me right now. I like this better than those. So as assists go, it's all right. Do I wish it was manual? Of course I do. I'm a knife nerd. But a lot of people who are going to buy knockouts, maybe not necessarily this version, this is kind of more for knife nerds, but guys buying regular knockouts probably do like the assist. It's a handy thing. If you're working and you only got one hand and you just got to slightly touch something and it opens, then that's fine. It also does work well on the thumb studs that, as I said, I wish weren't there, but alas they are, and they do work. So they are very large thumb studs too. Maybe if they just made them a bit smaller, I'd be happier. But, they've been making the knockout for so long. I don't think they're going to be changing anything like that. They are kind of a bit sharp, but again, it's an assist, so you don't have to put much pressure on them, so no complaints there. Also, on the carry, I have to step back a second, I forgot. It is tip up, tip down, right hand, left hand. It is four-way carry, which is nice. I will always leave it tip up, right hand, obviously, because I am right-handed and not stupid. So I'll always carry it tip up. Sorry if you like tip down. I think it's just kind of silly, unless it's a weird carry issue where it carries a lot better tip down. But anywho, I think we're kind of to the point of conclusions on this thing. Yeah, I'm very glad that I finally got a knockout. And as I said, Birdshot IV, Birdshot 4 is how I prefer to say it, but a lot of you people say Birdshot IV. But Birdshot 4, I think Frankie said it's the best Kershaw. I can't argue with that. It's really freaking good. I mean, I really like the Dividend also, don't get me wrong. And if they ever make the Atmos and better materials, I might like that better. But other than that, man, it's good. It's really good. And now I can get it in this awesome material. Now, correction, now I have it in this awesome materials. This is a keeper. I'll never get rid of this. It's just very good EDC. It's thin in the pocket. It's easy to carry. It's a good size for EDC. It's M3 freaking 90. It looks cool. No, it's not Brian Speck gray or black, but I really like this blue. I thought from the pictures it was like screaming blue, and I don't think it looks like that in my camera, but it's not screaming blue. It's a pretty subdued, cool blue. I love the black details. I love this black that they did the subframe lock in black. I think it looks cool. The black hardware looks cool. I do kind of almost wish I'd have got it in the black wash, but not really. That stone wash looks pretty good too. But in the black wash, that would match all this. But man, it's a cool knife, definitely. And if you are a Kershaw fan or just a fan of the Kershaw Knockout or an M390 nerd, go bag one of these. I mean, I've got this now in M390. I got the Dividend in M390. The only thing I don't have is the Link in M390, and I kind of think I need to go get one of those. I did see they are still available in a few places, but I don't like the Link that much. But now I've got 2 out of 3. Don't you have to have the third talking? That's addict mentality there. Got to have the third one. Got to have the third one. Got to complete the collection. But anyway, these are still available. Go grab one, man. They are pretty freaking great. So hope you guys have enjoyed this. USAMadeBlades.com. Again, link down below. 300 of each, still available. Kershaw Knockout and M390. Go get you one.